Bonjour, and welcome to another tutorial by Cajun Media Collaborative. In a previous tutorial, I mentioned using HubSpot's sales dashboard and some of the limitations when you want to be discussing progress with your sales team. It's pretty limited in terms of the amount of information you get. What I do like to do is get our deals out of HubSpot and load it into Excel. Now, I've entered some deals here. Most of them are 2018 dates, but you can see there's one here for 2017. If you want to exclude that from this view and ultimately from the export, you can go here, add filter, create date, date is after, and you could go through the calendar and select the date you want. But for now, we're going to use all of these deals for purposes of creating this report in Excel. Now, what we're going to end up looking like is the deals getting exported from HubSpot look like this. And then we'll have a final table here that's in a pivot table in Excel. You'll be able to filter through this information, add and remove columns and rows. But this is the basics about taking the information out, building a pivot table, and getting the information to you and your sales team. So let's go back to HubSpot. And what we need to do first of all is export this information. So go to Options, Export. Make sure your email address is correct. And we're going to want the file in an XLSX file. You'll want to make sure you have your email address and your Excel file or Excel program running to where you can quickly get into this information. And let's include all properties here. You never know what you're going to want to see after having a meeting with your sales team or evaluating your progress and what you're doing. Include all properties and export. Now I'm going to go to my inbox, and you can see they've already sent it to me pretty quick. So I'll open that up. And this is what the email looked like, and you can just download it. And I use Chrome for just about everything. I find the downloads are real easy out of Chrome. Here it'll open up as a file, and it should automatically open into Excel once it's ready. You want to enable editing if prompted. And now we're looking at just the raw data that came out of HubSpot. And there's a lot of information here, of which we're not going to use most of it. But as you see, you scroll over, you're already in the AA and AB columns. And depending on what properties you have set up, it could go on almost forever. So while we're in Excel, let's take this information, add a sheet, and here we're going to create a pivot table. If you haven't used pivot tables before, they may seem challenging at first, but it's actually a great tool, real quick tool. You can set up templates in Excel to where you can just be doing a data dump every time you want to do a sales forecast and have the pivot table update based on that data dump. So it's important to remember, if you're setting this up, but then changing properties in HubSpot, you'll need to make those changes again in Excel because this data dump and this pivot table is going to be very specific to the data from HubSpot. So let's go to Insert. And we're going to put a pivot table together. You're going to want to select the table range, which is going to be on the other page. Just click this arrow, go to Deals, All Deals, select A1, and you can hold Shift Control over, and then Shift Control down. It should highlight all the cells. Now, I like to typically go in here and add quite a few rows as this information grows in this report. So I'm going to put 100. You click the arrow here. And then we're going to want it to dump in an existing worksheet, Sheet 1, D6. I usually like to use C5. That provides me room for filters, as you'll see in a moment. Select there and click OK. Now, nothing's populated here. All the information we want to pull is over here in the pivot table fields. So we're going to keep this real simple. The first thing we're going to do is create a filter for the type of deals we're looking at. So let's find deal stage. Here we go here. Let's add this to filter. And you'll see it automatically populates there. Next, let's go find out deal name. How about? If you've been doing a good job of updating your information, your deal name should tell you a lot. Here we go. And we're going to put this in the rows. Okay. And as you see, some of them are already populating. Next, I'm going to want probability because a deal is important, but I need to know how close we are to getting done with that deal. And then finally, I want to know the amount of each deal. And as you see, the default is count. So if you click here and you see value field settings, go in here and select sum, because I'm going to want to know the sum of the amount, not the count of the amount. You can also use any of these other fields here and click OK. Now that represents dollar amounts now. So without messing anything further with this layout, you'll see you have a deal stage as a filter. Your row labels are the deal and the probability of getting closed, and then the amount of each deal. So similar to a table view that you have in HubSpot, you can take this information and expand on this information, also do charts, more detailed tables. If you need to provide this information to your financial institutions, you can use it there. First, let's get this cleaned up though. So you remember instead of using the 8-row cell reference, I entered 100. So I have a bunch of blank cells. So let's select multiple cells and then scroll down and deselect blank. Okay, it shouldn't change information here except removing the blanks. Next, let's go into row labels and make sure I don't have any blanks here. Oh, I do. Let's get rid of those. And now you should see a pretty clean snapshot of what's going on. We can also highlight this information and go here to home and change this to currency. Reduce the decimals, where it has a nice look to it. If you need to get back in the pivot table to make changes, just select any of the areas within the pivot table and the pivot table fields should open again. Now, if I need to see what contracts were sent, meaning in all likelihood, these are the deals that are going to have the highest probability of getting done, I can select all and select it again to clear it, and then select just contracts sent. Bam. You'll see 3 deals, 2 with a 75% probability assigned to them, and 1 with a 90% probability. The grand total of $7,500 in contracts sent. If you have any questions, you can post them in the comments. Pivot tables are great tools within Excel. You can use this in a number of different ways, but I like this just to get the data out quickly from HubSpot and work through any outstanding issues you may have. Another nice feature, I'll touch on this real quick, is getting back into deals all. There's a field that's going to identify as activity or last activity date. Let's see. Yes, last activity date. Now, if you have a sales team, this is a real important piece of information here. If they're properly using HubSpot and updating their activity, it should show up here. So if you're a manager or a business owner and you want to see what everybody's doing and whether they're actively using HubSpot or not, it should show up right here in last activity date, assuming they're using the log activity function that allows you to log a call, an email, or a face-to-face meeting. That's it for now from Cajun Media Collaborative. If you have any questions, post them at the bottom. Thanks for watching.